everyone, welcome to the podcast. My name is Kristen. You can find me on Instagram as Skein Yarn and on Ravelry as K10, that's K10. I am of course the dyer behind Skein Yarn here in Australia, and yeah, I think the last time I podcasted I had mentioned that we were opening up our little dye studio shop, which we have done, which is why I haven't podcasted, because I've been doing that on Fridays instead of doing the podcast. But the shop has been going really well. I have met lots of people. Yeah, we've had lots of visitors from people coming through Coffs Harbour, because we are on the major highway that runs up the east coast. So we've had people from Queensland, people from Sydney. I've had a woman from the UK who has been a long time follower, so that was really exciting. Yeah, so it's been fantastic, and if you are coming through Coffs Harbour, you can visit us on a Friday. We're open from 10 till 2. So yeah, or if you're coming through on another day other than Friday, you can always contact me and we can arrange a time to visit. But yeah, it's been really lovely. So I'm so pleased we did it. But yeah, I will need to somehow think about scheduling a time for the podcast, because I really enjoy doing that too. But yeah, I think now that the major rush of opening and getting used to having the shop open is over, and I'm sort of getting into the swing of that, then I should be able to now start podcasting again. Anyway, it's been so long and I couldn't remember what I'd actually shown you the last time, so I'm just going to start anew and show you what I've been working on, what I finished, what I've got on my needles, and yeah, might as well get into it. So the first thing I wanted to show you was the Alpine Bloom by Caitlin Hunter, and this was a pattern that came out, would it be 4 months ago? It was a huge success for her, and it's this colourwork tee. It's funny because when I hold it up to the camera, it looks huge, but actually on it fits really nicely, and it is oversized anyway. And I've worn this quite a few times when I have the shop open on Fridays. It's really, really lovely to wear. So I made this, we have kits for this on the shop, and the yarn is ACM, which is our alpaca cotton merino blend. It's very fuzzy. I don't know whether you can see that, but it's a very fluffy yarn. It's absolutely lovely to knit with and to wear. It's very soft, and because it has that cotton content in it, it's quite light. But what it doesn't do, which I don't like with cotton yarns, is that when you knit them, they don't have a lot of give sometimes. Usually if you have a cotton blend, say with merino or alpaca, it does actually give a little bit of stretch, so that when you're knitting it, it's not as hard on your hands. So that's what I like about this yarn. It's very, very nice to knit with. So actually I started this when I first decided to bring the yarn in. It was my project to test the yarn with, and I absolutely loved it. So yes, I was going to say we've got kits with lots of different colors for this pattern on our shop. This is parchment, which is a kind of, it's an interesting color. It's kind of creamy color, yellowy, a little bit of like green. Anyway, it's actually a really nice neutral, and it goes with a lot of colors. And then this purple is cherry. And I did have, okay, so when I started this project, I knew that there was a possibility that the yarn, this very bright saturated yarn, might bleed, and it did just a tiny bit. So when I went to block this, I plunged it in cold water with a little bit of detergent, and I didn't leave it to soak. And that's something actually when you're using hand dyed yarns, for the first wash, never ever soak it and leave it, because there is still going to be a little bit of dye, possibly. There's a high chance that there will be a little bit of dye left. And when you have a project like this where it's color work, you've got to be very careful that it doesn't run into your colors. So with the first wash in particular, dunk it in, give it a good like squash with the water to get the water saturated through the fibers, and then take it out straight away. Don't leave it for the first wash anyway. So that's what I did with this, and it did very, it was weird. It was just on the end of the sleeves. I can't even find it. There it is. Just a tiny little bit. I don't know if you can see it just here, but it ran. And same on the other side in one tiny little spot, which is quite amazing considering this is a very saturated purple and this is very light. So I was crossing my fingers and toes and hoping to God that this would not ruin my sweater when I soaked it, but it didn't. It was good. And all I did was I got a cloth when I pulled it out from the tumble dry, and I just kind of mopped up the excess dye bleed, and that worked quite well. So anyway, that is, oh, I should mention also, a lot of people say when you're soaking colorwork sweaters for the first time, to stop dye bleed, you put vinegar in the water. Now, I don't think that works very well, because when you're dyeing yarn, vinegar works to set the dye into the fiber, but you actually need heat as well as vinegar. So, and then if you're going to put it in hot water with vinegar, then you've got more chances of your colors running. So vinegar really doesn't work that well. But what can help is if you think you're going to have quite a bad dye bleed, you can get those color catcher sheets, and you can put that in the bucket of water with your garment, and that should help. But like I said, cold water always for the first soak, and it's just a quick plunge. Don't leave it soaking, because then yeah, your colors will run. Okay, so that is the Alpine Bloom by Caitlin Hunter, and I absolutely enjoyed knitting this. It was very quick, and I will say, actually I might as well just mention it now. Sorry, I've got my iPad here with my notes on it. For today, Caitlin Hunter has actually brought out her new pattern, which is the Autumn Alpine, which is the long sleeve sweater version of this pattern. And from memory, I don't think it has the lace neck. I think it might just be rib, but pretty much everything else is the same. I think it is actually not as oversized as the tee, because obviously in summer and warmer weather you want something that's a little less tight because it's nice and breezy. But the autumn, what's it called? Autumn Alpine looks like it's actually a slimmer fit, and it's knit using skein yarn, I was going to say sport yarn. So that's on one of my list of things to knit, because I love Caitlin Hunter's pattern. I really enjoyed this. I think this pattern, the way it's so graphic and bold and big, I absolutely love it. So I can see myself knitting the sport weight version very soon. Another sweater that I finished is the Pink Velvet Sweater by Andera Mowry, and unfortunately I left that one at work. That's in our sample pile. So I absolutely love knitting that too. I used, I'll put a picture up of course, I used our Black Forest colour with our new base Bubs, which is Baby Llama. which I was so excited to get that base because I've never knit with llama before. It's very similar to alpaca, but it's actually quite silky and has a really lovely drape. So alpaca's quite fluffy and it's kind of very similar to merino, but llama is, yeah, very similar to silk, but it still has that fluffiness. It does have quite a halo to it. It's a very interesting yarn base. So I knit that for the body, and then the color work I used our ACM, so this yarn, in the Sweet Cheeks color. And I really enjoy that pattern. I love color work. I think it's my new thing. I went through a big lace phase where everything needed to be knit with lace, but yes, I think I'm moving more towards color work. I absolutely love it. So yeah, that was the Pink Velvet by Andera Mowry, and we have kits for that too on our shop. I think that's all I needed to mention. I had no hiccups or anything with that pattern. It just flew off the needles, and yeah, it's beautiful to wear. And it's a cooler day today, but we have actually gone into spring and we're almost into summer, so the weather is heating up. So I think that one I'll be wearing next autumn. Actually, I should mention what I'm wearing too. This is the Ela cardigan by Isabel Kramer. And I have gotten so much wear out of this cardigan, it's crazy. I knit this, was it last year? I think it was last year. Was it? Yeah, I think so. I can't remember. But there's just something about cardigans and this time of year where it's hot and cold all the time, and you're sort of needing to take layers off, putting them back on. There's nothing better than a cardigan. And this has gotten so much wear. I don't know if I can stand up. As you can see, it's a crop. I cropped this pattern. It's actually Isabel's pattern. The original is quite long. I think it goes down past the hips. I was keen to crop it because I like to wear them that length. And of course it didn't take as much yarn. I think I had maybe, could have been 2 skeins or maybe 3 skeins of yarn for this. And I absolutely love, I mean, like I mentioned before, I love knitting lace, so this kind of chunky lace on DK was just beautiful to knit, and it knit up super fast. So if you're looking for a cardigan that you'll get a lot of wear out of, I highly recommend the Ela by Isabel Kramer. And this I knit with our Cushy DK in the colour Marigold. And of course we have Cushy DK always available on the shop for custom orders. Yeah, and I've actually worn this quite a lot. There is a tiny little bit of pilling here, but I mean that can be easily taken off with a de-pillar. But yeah, it's actually wearing quite well. So that's the end of my finished objects. So next is what I've got on my needles, and I have a couple of things that I've been knitting away on. The first one is the Soho Square by Jackie Rose, who is of course one half of the Caddy Jack's Knits podcast. I am so close to finishing this. I have 1, 2, 3 short rows left to go, and then I can bind off. Okay, I'm gonna have to stand back for this one because it is huge. So this is the wrap version, and as you can see, it's knit. It's knit in 2 sections. Well, actually, it's knit all together, but it's knit with this section first, so where the silver is, and then when you get to the end of all those short rows, then you start the short rows for the second half, which is this half. I think I cast this on about 2 weeks ago, so for the amount that I've knitted a lot, but it is garter stitch. which obviously is just knitting every row. And honestly, I've just every night, I haven't worked on this during the day, it's just at night sitting in front of the TV, and it's incredible how much I have gotten done. I'm amazed, like, because this is huge. I did find that it could be our yarn base. I'm knitting this out of our new yarn called Llano, which is a merino with linen, and you can see the linen. It sort of has these flecks of linen through, which linen doesn't dye up with acid dye, which is what we use. It needs a a plant dye to dye, but acid dyes are for protein fibers, so all animal fibers apart from plant, and of course linen is a plant fiber, so it remains undyed, but the rest, the merino content, gets dyed. So you get these lovely flecks of linen, and you can see there's like it's sort of like a halo of linen, which I don't know, like, it's very, very soft, but when I see pictures of this on my website or on Instagram, I think, gosh, people must think that that feels quite spiky, because you think linen, plant, you know, hard. It's not, it's very, very soft. So this is slightly thicker than normal fingering weight yarn, but which means that the yardage is a little bit less. So the Soho Square asks for this size, which is the largest size, 2 skeins of main colour, 1, which it was the silver for me, 2 skeins of main colour 2, which is Tempest, and then 1 each for the colours, for the contrast colours, which this one is Deco Rose and this one is Golden Peach. But what actually ended up happening, and I think it's because the yardage is a little bit less, I ran out of silver and I did run out of Tempest. So I've actually used 3 skeins of silver, 3 skeins of Tempest, and then 1 each of the contrast colours. Yeah, it's really a lovely project if you just want something to mindlessly knit on and relax with. It's really, really good for that. And of course, if you didn't want to knit such a big size shawl, I think there's the wrap, there's the wink, which is the tiny one that you can like have as a tiny scarf around your neck or on your head, and then there's another version, I think. So there's 3 different types. Anyway, I really, really liked it. I really enjoyed knitting it. I was talking to someone today in the shop. I've sort of gotten to the stage now where I'm right at the very end, and all I want to do is cast off, because I have another pattern ready, which I'll show you later. I've got all the yarn ready to go. Yeah, so I'm kind of ready to say goodbye to the Soho Square and start something new. But yes, I really, really loved knitting this shawl, huge shawl. My next project that I have on my needles is the Untangled Crop by Olga Putano. Olga does a lot of colour work sweaters, and I didn't know much about Olga. I hadn't seen any of her designs until recently, which is crazy because she's been designing for a long time. And I was so glad that I discovered her. So anyway, I saw this pattern on Instagram. Someone had been knitting it and I fell in love with it, so I decided to cast it on. So this is the Untangled Crop, and as you can see, it's the yoke. I have 1 repeat left of the pink, and then I split for the sleeves, and it's the body. For the pattern itself, I'll put a picture up. It has colour work in the body itself, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep it as the colourwork yoke, and then the body and sleeves I'm just going to do plain in this teal. So this is big teal, it's called, one of our colours. I absolutely love knitting this again. I mean, obviously colourwork, it's so much fun to knit. It's really easy too. It's like the Alpine Bloom. The repeats are very short, so it's very easy to memorize what row you're on and what you're meant to be doing. So I've really had no issues with this. It's been a joy to knit. So as I mentioned, the greeny blue is teal, which is so hard to photograph. I don't know, dyers out there too, you probably know this and struggle with this like me, but purple and these kind of tealy colors, they're so hard to photograph. But it's looking right in what I'm seeing in the phone, but yeah, it's teal, so greeny blue. And then I think this is just Peachy, and Botticelli is the light blue, and Marigold, which is the yellow. And I love this combination. I absolutely love. I wasn't quite sure how they would knit up together, but yeah, really pleased with it. Yeah, I think that's all. Oh, the yarn itself, the yarn base is another new base that we got in for winter. Our winter, which is now spring. We're now in spring, but I will continue to stock this throughout spring, but not as much as what I will be doing for the spring and summer yarns. But this is Cocoon, and this is a beautiful blend of alpaca and silk, and it's absolutely stunning. So soft. It's DK weight, which is 8 ply here in Australia. And again, I seem to be drawn to the halo yarns because it has a very soft alpaca-y halo. So yeah, really pleased with this one. So what I'm going to be casting on next is the Daydreamer Sweater by Veera Valimaki. I saw this on her feed about a month or two ago when it was first released, and I absolutely loved it. I'll put a little picture in so you can see what I'm talking about. It has a lace yoke and brioche body, which will be really fun to knit. It won't be great for this time of year because it is hotter, but I'm going to be knitting this for autumn. I am more of a sweater knitter than I am a shawl knitter. I do like very simple shawls, ones that I don't have to think about too much. So this Soho Square was perfect for me. I like to just be able to chill in front of the TV and knit, but in terms of knitting and wearing, I'm more of a sweater and cardigan person, or tee. I like tees as well. So this I'm really keen to cast on as soon as I finish the Soho Square. And this is the yarn I'm going to be using. This is our ACM, which I spoke about earlier. As you can see, it's very fluffy. The cakes, when you cake up the yarn, they're huge. It's just such a buffy, buffy, fluffy yarn. It's really, really lovely. This is our blue jean colorway. And yeah, I am really keen to get moving with this one. I haven't swatched yet. I will be doing that once I finish the Soho Square, because if I start this sweater, I won't be finishing the Soho Square. I'll put it to the side, so I must finish that before I do any work on this next sweater. So yeah, that's my next project. I haven't actually been buying a lot of yarn or knitting related things recently. Yeah, it's, as you all know, economic crisis. It's been difficult with rising costs of mortgage and electricity and all that fun stuff, so I have been putting money to the side, but yes, unfortunately I haven't been buying a lot of stuff, and I think that's true for a lot of people. But I did splurge when Little Woollie had an update of Opal Yarns. So if you've been following me for a while, you know how much I love commercial yarn. I do, sock yarn. I do love sock yarn, hand dyed, don't get me wrong, I love that too, but there's just something so cool about knitting the self-patterning sock yarns. I don't know, I just love them. My husband Paul wears socks all the time. He's like a massive hand knit sock convert. He loves them. So I got him to pick one of the colours and then I chose one for myself. So that's them. I don't know what, I think this is, it's based on, the colours in this one, they're based on artworks. But I'm not quite sure which artist it is. But anyway, this one you can see on the side knits up like that. Sorry, it's quite glary. And I absolutely love purple. I stopped knitting purple for a while because I think I knit with it so much I kind of got a bit sick of it. And now I'm back in the purple phase. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And of course these ones, this is interesting. I don't know what this is. I think they've knit that on the side. That's how it knits up if you're knitting it straight. I don't know. And that's in the round in socks. But yeah, really keen to knit these. And of course summer is a lot of sock knitting for me anyway. I love having a pair of socks on the go. They're really great to be knitting if you're socializing or in front of the TV and it's hot and you don't want, you know, knitting on your lap, which, because I do love to knit sweaters, it can get a bit hot. They're like a blanket when you're dying of heat. That's not great, but socks are small and yeah. So yeah, if you are looking for lovely commercial sock yarn, Little Woollie sells it, and yeah, they have a really good amount of stock and choice. So yeah, I just wanted to mention the Knit for the Girls, which is going on with Louie and Lola and the Knit Girls. It is a fundraiser for breast cancer research here in Australia, and the Knit Girls are collecting donations for Canada and I think the US. So if you have a little bit to spare, it's a great cause to donate towards. And of course, lots of people have given Louie and Lola and the Knit Girls prizes, lots of companies, hand dyers, bag makers, etc. So any sort of donation that you make gives you a spot for a prize. I'm laughing because I've like shot this I don't know how many times. I just can't get my brain to function at the moment. I need a coffee, I think. Yeah, so if you donate, you're eligible for a prize, and winners will be chosen. I'm not sure if she's doing it every week or every day or at the end of the month, but there's lots of different prizes, and yeah, it's a great cause. So I'll put a link in the show notes if you would like to donate. I wanted to talk about dream knitting. So these are things that have come up that I am really keen to cast on. And the first one that I mentioned earlier is the Autumn Alpine by Caitlin Hunter, which is the Alpine Bloom in a sport weight yarn. I'm really keen to cast that one on. Another one that I've come across, which I absolutely love, is the Ironwork tee. And this is by Dianna, Walla. And this is quite unusual for me because usually I like lace yokes or yokes that have color work on the top, obviously yoke. So color work yokes. So, but this one, the color work is on the bottom. But I just absolutely love it. As soon as I saw it, I just wanted to cast it on immediately. I am thinking of knitting that with Llano, which is our merino linen, and I am thinking of using this color, which is Tempest. I've fallen in love with this color. It looks black, but it's actually a very, very dark navy with an overtone of like a foresty green. And I might be knitting the colourwork section with either a blue or a pink. I'm not quite sure yet, I'm still working that one out. But yeah, that's definitely one that I really want to knit. And the last one is the Sugarplum Crop. This one I found yesterday, it came up on my Instagram feed. It is by Jaime Hoffman. It hasn't been released yet. It's going to be released, I think it's next week. I absolutely love it. It has a little frill on the sleeves. It looks like it's a puff sleeve. It's hard to see. I'll post a picture for you, but I took this off Instagram, so I hope Jaime doesn't mind, but it's a preview picture, so you can't see exactly the entire sweater or tee. But it does have, yes, a frill on the sleeve, a frill on the bottom, a puff sleeve, I think. Looks like a puff sleeve, and it looks like a bit of lace detail around the yoke. I do know that it's been knit with a fingering weight yarn and a mohair held together, because I saw it was quite fluffy and I thought of the ACM yarn, but if it's a fingering held with a mohair lace, that would make it a DK weight. So if I could find a fluffy DK, maybe the Cocoon base, which I showed you earlier, I might do it out of that, or I might just knit it with a fingering weight and a mohair, which would be lovely too. I haven't done that for a while, so I might even think about doing that. Okay, so that is all for today. I think that's all I had to say. We are having a sale on at the moment. It's our yearly sale. It's my birthday on Sunday, so it kind of tied in nicely. I thought I'd do a sale in the same week. It's 20% off all of our in-stock yarns. That's including our sock sets, anything that's in store that's available to ship right now. You can put the discount towards. It is the discount is sale 20, and yeah, if you go to our website, you'll see the code and you can start shopping if you're interested. We've actually got lots of yarn in stock, so there's plenty to choose from. We've got the ACM, which I talked about, Cocoon, Bubs, which I talked about, the baby llama, that's in stock, lots of sport. If you're interested in knitting the Autumn Alpine by Caitlin Hunter, which is out of the sport, we've got plenty of that in stock. We've got lots of the Llano, so if you're interested in knitting the Soho Square or whatever, there's plenty, so go and have a look. And yeah, it's really nice to come back and do a podcast, and hope you're all well, and I will hopefully be speaking to you soon. So have a lovely couple of weeks, and I'll talk to you then. Bye.